Back at it. I'm back. How are you? Back in the saddle again. It is Monday, the 29th day of July, 2019. This is Wake Up in Wenatchee Valley. I'm Dan Kuntz, back from my week-long vacation. Had our little traditional, yearly, annual, whatever word you want to use, family reunion in Lopez Island. Everybody had a good time. Whenever the Kuntz family gets together, having a good time seems to be the number one priority, and we pulled that off with great aplomb. And now I'm back at it. Didn't get Wally pipped. I was able to get into the building this morning. You're always, you take off for a week and you come back and you think, okay, either they realize you don't really do much around here and do we need them, or, boy, it's good to have Dan back because it's good to have Dan back. Well, I was able to get into the building. That's always a good start. Thanks to my good friend Eric Granstrom for filling in last week on this very program, and now the whole television family is back together again. Everybody was coming in and out, vacations, time off, what have you, holidays. But we're back. We got a good show for you today. Storm and Joel Norman, my good friend, your friend for that matter, the voice of the AppleSox will be dropping by. They have a brand new book. Yeah, it's available for you to buy right now. It's about the history of the Wenatchee AppleSox. As you know, they're celebrating their 20th anniversary this year. So Joel is going to bring a copy of the book. He wrote the book. That's cool. He's a published author now. Congratulations, Joel. We'll talk all things AppleSox baseball as they make a push to the playoffs with Joel Norman in the back half of the show. You see over my left shoulder what a beautiful sunrise and a beautiful morning. We're going to have a gorgeous week, typical late summer. Well, not late summer, actually. It's midsummer still. Of course, summer lasts all the way through mid-September. Sunny, dry, warm, high-pressure ridge is going to be in charge, so typical late July, early August weather. Yeah, August is coming up. August is Thursday. Summer is slipping right away. We got your details on the way. Also, your Monday morning headlines, a whole boatload of sports. By the way, nice victory last night for the AppleSox. In addition to Saturday's victory over the Portland Pickles, a game that we televised right here on the NCW Live channel. So sports, we got the obscure holiday today in history. Birthdays, everybody is entitled to Mike McNally's opinion. And I got to be honest with you, it's good to be back. It really is. The week off done me good. I am relaxed. I am recharged. And I think, provided I remember what it is that I do for a living, I think we can put together a pretty good show for you. If it's all right with you, and it doesn't really matter if it's all right with you, we're going to do it anyway. Let's go around the valley. Megan pushing the buttons, and as usual, the cross camera begins our tour of north central Washington. The Desert Canyon fire, by the way, completely 100% contained. There's still a smallish wildfire up in the Stehekin area, but right now, knock on wood, we're doing okay for the fire season. But of course, we are drying out, and we will continue to dry out. And even though we are going to have some breezy winds at times along the east slopes of the Cascades, that means here in the Wenatchee Valley, we could see some winds later on tonight, all the way through early Wednesday, the occasional gust about 20 miles an hour. We are not expecting a red flag warning, but this time of the year, we always have to worry about fire danger, regardless of the weather. It's just out there. It's something we've gotten used to. Good morning, Wenatchee Valley. Good morning, everybody, for starting. And thanks for starting your day with us here on the NCW Live channel. Camera 2, where are we off to? Megan. See if I can remember all of our cameras after being gone for a week. The AppleSox camera dominates your view there. All of Kashmir, Mount Kashmir, plainly in view. All of Kashmir. You can pretty much see the entire hamlet of Kashmir from that incredible view. We're high above the AppleSox mall there in Kashmir. Good morning, Kashmir. Good to see you. Camera 3. Let's say hello and good morning to, oh boy, okay, don't tell me, Megan. I want to say that's Wapato Point, so I want to say that's either Bear Mountain or Lower Butte. I'm going to go with Bear Mountain. Hey, I'm right. Cool. So I did remember where I live. And even though there's a small fire up in the Stehekin area, as I just mentioned, I don't see any residual smoke down there. Of course, this is the peak of the tourist season in beautiful Lake Chelan. Great view there. Haven't played Bear Mountain Golf Course yet this year. I usually get a couple rounds in a year at Bear Mountain, one of my faves. Haven't been up there yet. Don't worry, Vaughn. I'm coming up. I'll be there. Camera number 4. We say hello to Omi Gardens, celebrating their 90th anniversary. And next week, we will be filming an episode of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley up there at Omi Gardens. The Friends of Omi Gardens will be having a little get-together, and we'll be participating in that. Looking forward to that. My friend Bonnie Orr, that's going to be great. Looking forward to that. We're going to film that next week. Incredible view from Omi Gardens, the Otobayashian Bridge, the Stamilk Complex, and the greater Wenatchee area. Yeah, I spent the weekend, as you know, I spent the weekend at Lopez Island in the San Juans, the northern San Juans. And although it is beautiful, the sunsets, I should say, were phenomenal. Sunrises were cool too. The weather was perfect. It was sunny and mild, upper 70s, nice light breeze every day. It's still good to be back home. It's a beautiful area, Lopez Island, but nothing's more beautiful, in my opinion, than the Wenatchee Valley. So that's our tour around north central Washington. Let's go ahead and take a look at your weather forecast from the National Weather Service. That way, if you don't like the weather, you can blame the government, and there's nothing not to like there. Absolutely beautiful, sunny, dry, warm, high pressure is large and in charge, very seasonable temperatures. Saturday we hit 86, Sunday we hit 87. Believe it or not, just a little bit below normal. That 86 and 87, we're usually about 88 or 89 for our normal high this time of the year in late July. Sunrise this morning was at 5:35, sunset was at 8:39. Today we got 15 hours and 4 minutes of daylight. So we're losing a little over 2 minutes of daylight each day. There's your forecast, nothing but sunshine. Again, a couple of little waves come in and come out, nothing to knock the high pressure dome out of alignment. So sunny today, very little wind, high of about 93. If you got the day off, go out and enjoy it. A lot of people do have Mondays off. Clear tonight, 67 for the overnight low, little northwest wind about 9 to 10 miles an hour at times tonight. Tuesday, sunshine 91. Again, northwest wind about 9 to 15 miles an hour. We could see the occasional rogue gust around 20 miles an hour on Tuesday and Tuesday night with an overnight low of 66. Then we go 91, 92, 91, 92, 94. Nothing but sunshine, blue skies, and lollipops for everybody in north central Washington. A good weather to come back from vacation from. Just about perfect. And I cannot believe, and it just occurred to me when we started the show, that August comes Thursday. Summer is slipping away from us. It is 7 minutes after the hour. Before we take a break, we want to thank our friends at Confluence Health for sponsoring this program. Confluence Health, dedicated to providing safe, quality health care for everybody in north central Washington. We got your news. It's 1 minute away. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, Monday edition from Studio 4 in downtown Wenatchee on the NCW Life channel.
When the people you serve are your friends and family, you see the world a bit differently. You understand that your survival depends on the health and strength of your relationships. Your word is your reputation, and that doing the right thing is the only way of life that matters. At Confluence Health, we remain humble. Trust is a gift that is earned, a privilege, an honor. And we remain grateful for the trust you place in our hands.
Hi, I'm Jim Heinlein, agent here at Senior Insurances of North Central Washington, where we help our clients navigate the Medicare world. One of the things we really enjoy doing is teaching our clients about their rights. Like, did you know that if you have a traditional Medicare supplement, you can change that monthly all year long, regardless of prior health conditions? So if you'd like to know more about your options with Medicare, you can visit us at one of our 5 local offices, as well as give us a call at 888-2600.
Welcome back. Just about 9 minutes after the hour. We have lots of sunshine, just a couple of high clouds, 63 degrees. Outside of our studios, lower 90s all this week, nothing but sunshine, a little bit of a breeze. Tonight into the early hours of Wednesday, outside of that, sunny and warm and very pleasant indeed. Here's what's making headlines on this Monday. State troopers say 2 people were injured Friday afternoon when a semi overturned on Highway 17. This happened about 10 miles south of Bridgeport at milepost 125 in Douglas County. It happened around 4:15 in the afternoon when the 26-year-old truck driver drifted off the roadway, and that caused the tractor-trailer rig to roll over into a ditch. Trooper John Bryant said the trailer came apart at the seams. The driver and his passenger, both from British Columbia, were injured. The driver was transported to Three Rivers Hospital in Brewster. His 28-year-old male passenger had to be extradited from the overturned cab, and he was airlifted to Central Washington Hospital. The trooper said the driver was in stable condition at the time. He says the cause of the crash, driver inattention. Highway 17 remained shut down until 4:30 on Saturday morning. Well, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the National Park Service announced last week they're going to reopen the public comment on plans to restore the endangered grizzly bears to the North Cascades. The two agencies to restart the process to complete the environmental impact statement, which is intended to restore the nearly extinct grizzly bear population. Now, the process was halted late last year when former Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke suspended the public comment period without explaining why. The grizzly plans have been contentious since they were first introduced a couple of years ago. Chelan County Commissioner Doug England has been very outspoken in his concerns.
Our issues are that there really is no evidence as far back as we can look that in the portion of Chelan County and Okanagan County that were involved, the grizzly bears were ever there. The old trappers don't give any indication at all. There were grizzly bears to the east, which the Colvilles were very familiar with and were involved with. But in this area, there's really no indication that other than an occasional visitor, there aren't the fish runs, there aren't those kinds of things that would draw grizzly bear in.
Environmental groups such as Conservation Northwest supports the grizzly plan. Spokesman Chase Gunnell responded to critics' concerns.
I would say two things. The first being that the plan that has been proposed by the National Park Service and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to recover this species in the North Cascades is quite reasonable, it's incremental, and it includes only 25 bears over 5 to 10 years. So there will not be a grizzly behind every tree. We're not going to see the level of bear activity that might be seen in places like Yellowstone. This is a slow process over a very long time in a very large area. The other thing I would say is that there are abundant methods available for people living, working, and playing in bear country to coexist with these animals. And in fact, people in places like Northeast Washington, where there are grizzly bears, Montana, Idaho, Alaska, they do coexist with relatively few exceptions. Those exceptions may make the news, but they're far from the rule, and there are tools available for people in bear country to avoid conflict.
In a news release, the group says it welcomes the new comment period if it leads to the completion of the environmental impact statement and concrete actions to recover the iconic grizzly bear. 4th District Congressman Dan Newhouse said he was glad the Department of the Interior is seeking local public comment on the issue. In a news release, he encouraged residents of Central Washington to make their voices heard loud and clear so that, in his words, the administration will end this misguided proposal once and for all. Well, a new RV park on city-owned land has opened in Bridgeport. The 17-space Conklin Landing RV Park is on the Columbia River. It's a joint project by the city of Bridgeport and the Douglas County PUD. Each paid half of the cost of building the park, about $540,000 for the development. In addition to the RV spaces, the new park includes restrooms, shower facilities, and a picnic shelter. Work on the park began last summer, so it's already open, but the official grand opening ceremony is scheduled for Saturday, August 3rd at 11 a.m. Well, for the first time in 11 years, Wenatchee's Town Toyota Center will undergo some major technological upgrades. General Manager Mark Miller said 10 years is just about the lifespan of video boards, including the giant Jumbotron board.
Well, currently is the giant Jumbotron board and the ribbon boards are being replaced, and those will be upgraded into higher pixelated LEDs. With that, we've got a couple panels that have gone out, which is a normal thing, but they can't be replaced or worked on, and that's about the life of of upgrades of video boards. So those are being replaced, and Daktronics has won that bid, and the goal obviously is to debut at the opening Wild game September 13th.
Miller said a reserve fund was set up years ago to handle the cost of the necessary upgrades.
Dollars have been set aside in a reserve fund just for projects such as this, so no one has to go to the public again. So with those funds have been accumulating since 2013, that is the funding that will be used for this replacement. And every year the building has tried to do some kind of, obviously, capital project. 2 years ago we purchased a new Zamboni, which is obviously very integral to the business. And then last year with the public areas of carpeting was seen an upgrade. So then this year it's going to be the LED board.
The total cost for the upgrades, about $600,000. Firefighting experts say it's a sign of recovery when animals start returning to a burned area. So while they were out in a helicopter Thursday morning when they were mapping the 6 miles of fire line At the Desert Canyon Fire, the Southeast Washington Interagency Incident Management Team was happy to spot 3 deer. Now, Field Operations Manager Tom Hatley said the photo wasn't great, but taking a cell phone photo from a moving helicopter obviously is a challenge. An expert on opioid use and addiction spoke to the Wenatchee Rotary Club Thursday in a program directed towards helping put the opioid crisis into perspective. With more, here's our very own Kyle Montgomery.
The Wenatchee Rotary Club held a weekly focus program Thursday afternoon on the growing opioid crisis in north central Washington. Executive Director of the Center for Alcohol and Drug Treatment, Loretta Stover, was the guest speaker at the program Thursday and helped put the health epidemic into perspective for attendees.
So to piggyback on prevention and what we need to be doing, we need to be preventing addiction. We need to be working with families and children to talk about earlier stages.
Stover spoke on multiple topics, including how opioid addictions start, the signs that you can look for if you think someone has an addiction, and ways to help or treat an addict. Stover also discussed with NCW Life how parents should be actively watching their kids and peer groups to make sure they don't have or start an addiction, as many fail to realize the signs.
So I think that, as adults, we need to educate ourselves around what the latest trends are. There was this statistic thrown out here today that talks about how many parents have no idea that their children have ever come in contact with an opioid or use of opioids. And so we need to constantly be, number one, talking to our children, asking them what's going on, asking them what their peers are doing, which gives us a window into what they're surrounded by and what their attitudes are around drugs and alcohol. That will be helpful. And then also making sure that we are locking up any medications that we have. Taking medication for some people, children, taking medication sort of a big deal. You take medication in the kitchen with mom and dad. Even teenagers, you don't give them their prescription and let them take it to their room and do their own dosage.
In the last several years, opioid-related deaths in Washington state have increased 77%, with drugs such as heroin, Xanax, and other narcotics attributing to recent deaths in Chelan and Douglas counties. The Wenatchee Rotary and Stover hope to continue holding programs in the future to educate the public on issues such as the opioid epidemic. With NCW Life News, I'm Kyle Montgomery.
Thank you for that report, Kyle. And finally, this morning, this is some pretty disturbing video. It came up from our friend Steve Baker of Wenatchee. He was driving, this happened on Thursday morning, he was driving towards Quincy on Highway 28 near East Wenatchee on Thursday morning when his dash cam captured this. Check this out. This is scary. As you can see, a pickup attempts to pass him and encounters oncoming traffic, goes to the far left shoulder. The two oncoming vehicles pass the truck, and then the truck returns to the right side of the road. Baker's car was traveling about 60 miles an hour at the time. Look at that. I'm not an expert, but I don't think you're supposed to do that. Baker said he sped up in an attempt to get the pickup's license plate, but he decided it was unwise and he backed off. He said he reported the incident to the Washington State Patrol. Ugh. 19 minutes after the hour. That's your Monday morning news. Don't forget the news with Grant Olson, and Eric Granstrom will be a part of your television appointment, I hope. You can watch it at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. 5, 6, and 10, three chances to watch the news. The NCW Life Evening News, Grant of the anchor chair, also handles the weather forecast, does both very well. Eric Granstrom with sports. What happened over the weekend? And on this Monday, we put together a little program we like to call The News. At 5, 6, and 10, you can also watch it on demand whenever you want. We'll have it up and running on our website, ncwlife.com. We'll have it up there ready for you to go 4:30, 5-ish or so, each and every weekday afternoon. And our website is one of the many tools you can use to get a hold of us. Go to our website, ncwlife.com. Click on the Contact Us icon in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. Fill out the form, and there you go. We get it. If you want to go to our Facebook page and drop us a line there, you can do so on the Messenger app on Facebook. We also have a Twitter handle. We have a telephone number. It's right there at the bottom of your screen. You can get a hold of us that way. You can email us, news@ncwlife.com, news@ncwlife.com. If there's a news tip out there or something that you think demands our attention, or at least a look-see from us, let us know about it. And we'll do our best to follow up. This is as much your station as it is ours. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we have sports. Good weekend for the AppleSox. so far. Mariners, they should play Detroit every day. Wouldn't that be great? So we got sports, including, of course, the Mariners and the AppleSox, plus the obscure holiday, plus today in history, plus birthdays. Everybody's entitled to Mike McNalty's opinion. And speaking of the AppleSox, Joel Norman will be sitting right next to me in just a couple of minutes to talk AppleSox baseball. Always good to see Joel. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley live this morning from Studio 3 in downtown Wenatchee on the NCW Live channel.
I told Mr. Nielsen about Simon. He's the best doctor because I like the medicines like he gives me.
He asks like more questions, and that's why I feel like he's more interested in the health. For me, it means a lot. That means he really cares about, about him.
I like you, Simon, and you're my best friend.
Choose the pros, Alignment Pros. When your vehicle needs brakes, shocks, struts, or alignment, choose the experts in their field. Alignment Pros and Express Lube with a 5-star rating. The work they perform on your vehicle is as impeccable as their shop. With state-of-the-art equipment, Alignment Pros can handle all large or small vehicles, specialty cars, lifted or lowered. Alignment Pros does them all. Keep your car in top shape at Alignment Pros and Express Lube in East Wenatchee.
We are back. Let's do sports at 22 minutes after the hour. A 6th-run, 8th inning broke open an 8-all tie. The Wenatchee AppleSox beating Portland yesterday afternoon, 14-8, at Paul Thomas Senior Field. With more on last night's victory, here's the voice of the AppleSox, Joel Norman.
The AppleSox picked up a 14-8 victory over the Portland Pickles on Sunday night at Paul Thomas Senior Stadium. The Sox have now won 3 in a row and did so thanks to a furious rally in the bottom of the 8th inning. They gave up 2 runs in the top half. The game was tied 8-8, but Wenatchee scored 6 times in the bottom of the 8th inning. The big blow being an RBI single by Cody Darcy, and then later Cody Colden would clear the bases with an RBI double. A hectic inning all around. Justin Lutz also had a 2 RBI single, and the Sox pick up their 3rd straight victory. They'll go for the sweep on Monday night at 6:35 right here at Paul Thomas Senior Stadium. With your AppleSox update, I'm Joel Norman.
Thank you, Joel. Wenatchee's Johnny Sage went 3 for 6. He had 4 ribbies. Ryan Altenberger and Dalton Aram each contributed home runs. The victory on the mound went to Trent Sellers, who pitched 3 1/3 innings of relief, gave up 2 runs, 5 hits, 5 strikeouts, and a walk. And as Joel mentioned, the Sox and the Pickles wrap up their 3-game series tonight at 6:35. Wenatchee won Saturday's series opener against Portland. It was our 3rd broadcast of AppleSox baseball here on the NCW Live channel. The game was tied at 3 at the bottom of the 6th inning, and that's when Connor Kiefer came to the plate.
So Connor was behind 0-2 and now has worked the count full. No place to put it. Bases are loaded in a 3-3 game here in the bottom of the 6th inning with 1 out. And the pitch to the plate swung on and hit hard through for a base hit. That's going to score 1 run. They're going to hold the runner at 3rd base on a throw-in from left fielder John Endorfer. And how about that plate appearance for Connor Kiefer? Give it an RBI as Darcy comes home to score. The AppleSox have regained the lead 4-3.
The AppleSox weren't done yet. Next up to the plate, Johnny Sage. The bases still loaded.
McPhillips at 3rd base. Cody Colden at 2nd. Connor Kiefer at 1st. Pitch swung on and chopped off the plate. Fair ball. Second baseman comes in. Ball goes over his head. 1 run scores. Running 3rd and heading home and scoring is Cody Colden on a 2-run single by Johnny Sage.
Oh yeah, sometimes winning just putting the ball in play, and fortunately hit it in the right spot, scored a couple runs to help our team win.
Talk about this team, and you guys seem at least on the outside, and you can tell me being on the inside, that there's a lot of chemistry here in this club.
Right, yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of long road trips, it feels like, and there's not a lot to do other than bond with your teammates, so this is one of the closest summer teams I've ever been a part of, and when you're winning, it makes it fun.
Good Portland team coming into town, but you guys, I mean, basically every night is a playoff game for you, isn't it?
Right, yeah, we're trying to win every night, trying to get into that postseason push and see what we can do.
AppleSox head coach Kyle Crustangel made a quadruple move in the 8th inning. He took Brett Gillis, moved him from 3rd base. He had him relieve Connor Summer. Then he put Ryan Altenberger in right field. He moved Blake Clausen from right field to 1st base, and then he slid Connor Kiefer from 1st over to third. I hope you were paying attention. We're going to have a test on this a little bit later on. Gillis worked the final 4 outs for his second save, and his coach couldn't be happier.
Yeah, I mean, Brett's special, a guy that can play great third base and be a great offensive player, but at the same time, he's absolutely nails on the mound. We got him hot about an inning and a half earlier. You know, tough thing for him is we have to find situations to get him hot in the pen when he's not batting. But, you know, I told Joel on air yesterday that in these types of games, it's playoff atmosphere. You know, you're going to see a lot more movements and a lot more matchup baseball. You know, we didn't like the back-to-back lefty matchups with Summer. Great arm, has struggled of late against left-hand batters. Kind of how he got the one guy we should have been out of the inning, but with 2 more to go, we wanted to go to a guy that's been lights out against lefties, and that meant that we were moving the whole team around. But we liked the matchup we got, and we got the result we wanted. So I would say the fans are going to see a lot of that type of stuff down the stretch as we got to get the right guys against the right matchups.
Now, the AppleSox are statistically tied for first place with Victoria in the second half of the North Division standings. Now, the Harbor Cats, of course, they've already punched their ticket to the playoffs because they won the first half. The AppleSox either need to win the second half to get into the playoffs or finish with the highest overall winning percentage on the season amongst the division teams. Wenatchee's wins this weekend. That pushes the AppleSox to 23-21 on the year. That's 2 games better than Bellingham at 20-20 and 4 games in front of both Yakima Valley and Port Angeles. Take a look at the Les Schwab scoreboard from the rest of the games on Sunday from the West Coast League. Colin Burns, 4 for 5, 2 runs. Bellingham beat Port Angeles 7-4. Cesar Lopez, 4 for 5 with a double and 2 RBIs to lead Walla Walla past Cowlitz 12-2. Nick Jokovic had a couple of doubles. He went 3 for 5, scored a run, a couple of RBIs. Corvallis came from behind to beat Bend 11-5. Justin Boyd, 4 for 4 with 2 doubles, 4 runs, and 2 ribbies to lead Ridgefield to a 15-1 win over Yakima Valley. The Raptors had 20 hits in the game and scored in every inning but the second and the ninth. And Victoria lost a non-league game Sunday to the Burnaby Bulldogs 11-4. J.P. Crawford's RBI base hit in the bottom of the 10th inning scored Dylan Moore. We love those walk-off hits. 3-2 the final. Mariners over Detroit, and they complete the 4-game sweep over the Dodgers. Domingo Santana set up the sweep by tying the game at the bottom of the 8th inning with a 2-out solo home run. That's his 20th of the year. Roenis Elias worked the 10th for the win. He improves to 4-2 on the season. Seattle has the day off today. Then they begin a brief 2-game set in Texas tomorrow. Mike Leake will take on Ariel Gerardo, 5:05. First pitch. Also in the American League West on Sunday. Again, to the Les Schwab scoreboard we go. Jose Altuve, 3 for 5 with a 3-run home run. Houston topped St. Louis 6-2. George Springer and Jordan Alvarez also went deep for the Astros, their 68th win of the season. LA walked off on Matt Thayes' second homer of the game as the Angels beat Baltimore 5-4. Oakland literally walked off against Texas, a bases-loaded walk in the bottom of the 9th inning. Ace beat the Rangers 6-5. Oakland went into the 9th trailing by 1. But then Matt Olson's RBI base hit tied it at 5, and then Chris Davis earned the game-winning RBI again on that bases-loaded walk. The big news, of course, from Seahawks training camp over the weekend, the contract extension to keep Bobby Wagner in a Seattle uniform.
Good to be back out there, with my teammates. You know, it's a real learning experience. I got a chance to kind of be a coach for a minute and try to teach the young guys as much as we can. And it's good to be back out there teaching them in person instead of off the field. For me, it wasn't about agents and all that stuff. It was about challenging myself and showing players there's another option, and showing players that no matter what you do, whether you have an agent or don't have an agent, it's really about educating yourself in the business that you perform in. You know, we know the statistics. You know that, whenever you're done, a lot of us tend to go broke or, don't take good care of our money. And I feel like it's because we don't educate ourselves while we're here. We wait till we get done playing football and then try to figure it out. So this was me trying to educate myself before I get out there in the real world and actually have some real world experiences.
Wagner and the Seahawks agreed on a 3-year, $54 million contract extension on the second day of camp. As you probably heard, he didn't use an agent. He did it all himself. Of course, Seahawks getting ready for preseason football. It's not that far away. A week from Thursday, the Denver Broncos football right around the corner. And those are just some of the games that people are playing on this Monday. It's the bottom of the hour, 7:30 on a Monday, the 29th day of July, and the obscure holiday of the day today. Most of the obscure holidays are usually food related. You probably have noticed that over the years. Today is National Lasagna Day. It's one of the quintessential Italian dishes. I love lasagna. I don't like making lasagna. It's very labor intensive, but I like to eat it. And believe it or not, most food historians believe that lasagna originated not in Italy, but perhaps in England. So goes the world. And that's what they told me anyway. I found it on the internet. It must be true. Of course, there are all kinds of different kinds of lasagna recipes for you to enjoy. Some things are constant. You got to have the noodles, of course. Everything else is kind of do your own thing. It seems somewhat ironic that National Lasagna Day is in the middle of summer. Well, most of us associate lasagna as a wintertime comfort food, something you can eat over and over and over and over again. You know, you make a big thing of lasagna and you stick it in the fridge and you can eat it for a good solid 3-4 days if you want to. And yet here it is, July 29th, and they celebrate National Lasagna Day on July 29th. That's fine with me. I love lasagna so much, I'll eat it any time of the year. Celebrate National Lasagna Day by having Uriah's sister make you one. It's only $50. And it's darn good. Let's do today in history. As I mentioned before, it is the 29th day of July. Happy anniversary to the games of the 14th Olympiad. Remember, they didn't have the Olympics for a long time. After 12 years, because of World War II, there were no Olympic Games. So it was the first Olympic Games since 1936 in Berlin. The 1940 Games were supposed to be in London and then Tokyo, and then they had a war, and they didn't do it, and they were still fighting a war in 1944. So finally, they had the Olympics again after a 12-year hiatus. The Games of the 14th Olympiad opening ceremonies were held on this day, July 29, 1948, 71 years ago today. By the way, the three losers of World War II, one of them was invited. Italy, you can come on board. You can come to London. Germany, Japan, sorry, can't come. So yeah, Germany and Japan were not invited. And the Soviet Union was invited to the 1948 Olympics, but they didn't send any athletes for whatever reason. Happened 71 years ago today. 46 years ago today, July 29, 1973, Led Zeppelin was playing their final concert of their 73-date North American tour. They were at Madison Square Garden in New York City. During the concert, somebody broke into the safe at the luxurious and historic Drake Hotel in Midtown Manhattan. That's where the group was staying. They broke into the safe and they made off with over $200,000 in cash from the gate receipts. The thief did leave behind the passports of the four members of Led Zeppelin so they could fly back to England after the concert. By the way, the crime was never solved. Led Zeppelin, well, they $200,000 to Led Zeppelin. That was nothing. That was a drop in the ocean. Happened on this date 46 years ago today. And the wedding of the century happened 38 years ago today, July 29th, 1981. A worldwide television audience of over 700 million people, I know I was one of them, watched the wedding of Charles, the Prince of Wales, and Lady Diana Spencer at St. Paul's Cathedral in London. Of course, the couple separated in 1992, divorced in 1996. Lady died in 1997, but it was considered the wedding of the century 38 years ago today. What do you buy them as a wedding gift? Hey, way to go, Chuck and Di. Here's a toaster. Where are you registered at? Macy's? That must have been hard. It's two birthdays. I got a couple of them for you today. I miss this guy, Peter Jennings. Always watched World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Of course, the big three back in those days, throughout the 80s and into the 90s and into the early part of 2000s. You had Peter Jennings on ABC, you had Dan Rather on CBS, you had Tom Brokaw on NBC. Peter Jennings was born in the state of 1938, passed away at the age of 67 back in 2005. He was born in Toronto, but he became a naturalized U.S. citizen in 2003. Of course, as I mentioned, he was the anchor World News Tonight from 1983 until his death. Never graduated high school. Despite that fact, he became one of the most respected journalists of all time. And after anchoring ABC's coverage of the terrorist attacks on September 11th, 2001, he was in the anchor chair for 17 straight hours. He resumed his smoking habit because of the stress, and he ended up dying of lung cancer. Peter Jennings, born in the state of 1938, and America's filmmaker, Ken Burns, is 66 years old today. The Statue of Liberty, baseball, the Civil War, the Brooklyn Bridge, jazz, the war, the Vietnam War, and of course, coming up in September, his latest documentary called Country Music. Ken Burns is 66 years old today. We're going to take a break. When we come back, everybody's entitled to Mike Magnotti's opinion. We'll find out what's on Mike's mind. And then live in Studio 7, Storm and Joel Norman, the voice of the AppleSox. It's a red letter day for Joel. He's now a published author. Joel will be joining me when we come back. You're watching Wake Up in Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Live channel.
It's estimated that 1/3 of Americans do not have a financial plan. At D.A. Davidson, their advisors are working to change that because they understand the importance of planning for the future. At D.A. Davidson, they believe in partnering together to build a strategy tailored to your needs. They spend the time and have the knowledge to help keep your financial future on track. Let D.A. Davidson Financial Advisors of Wenatchee put the strength of advice to work for you.
Spring has arrived here at Town Nissan. So has a new shipment of certified pre-owned vehicles, like this Altima and this Rogue. Each of these vehicles goes through a 167-point inspection. Then we will cover them up to 7 years and 100,000-mile warranty coverage. You'll save thousands on these popular models. How about America's best truck warranty? 5-year, 100,000 miles on the all-new Nissan Titan. Buy smart, own confidence at Town Nissan, behind Costco in East Wenatchee.
They may not be from you, but they're a part of your family. For many reasons, not all children are being raised by their parents. Are you a family member who has stepped in to help raise grandchildren, nieces, or nephews? Whether court-ordered or not, Aging and Adult Care may be able to assist you with many needs. Kinship Care helps keep family and community ties together. Learn more about Kinship Care by contacting Aging and Adult Care of Central Washington, working together for a better quality of life for all.
If you want to work in healthcare, choose the program that teaches the skills employers want. The Charter College Medical Assistant Program combines hands-on learning in the lab with convenient online learning, plus real-life experience with an externship. Classes start every 5 weeks, so you don't have to wait to launch your new career. Enroll with confidence, knowing Charter is institutionally accredited by the Accrediting Bureau of Health Education Schools, and be ready to work in less than a year. Charter College. We work to get you to work.
Moving doesn't have to be back-breaking, stressful work. And I don't want you to make a move that way ever again.
Traditionally, you would rent a truck. You would load up your stuff. You would rent a storage unit. You would transport it. And finally, you would unload your stuff yourself. You don't have to lift a finger. We bring the mobile storage unit to you. We drop it off. Then one of our trusted packers can load it for you. We come pick it up and store it securely for you. We bring it back to you. No hassle, no stress.
This is Mike Mad Dog Magnati, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. Now, recently, our state legislature did something very worthwhile. Hooray! You know, they passed a bill that ended the statute of limitations against sex crimes against children. Now, somebody who suffers from child sexual assault bears those scars for years. And a vast majority of the time, the abuser is someone with authority, which makes it difficult for the abused child to reconcile, which is often why disclosure in these cases may not come for many years after the crime occurs. Now, those who abuse children should face the possibility of disclosure and prosecution for as long as it takes the victim to appropriately deal with what's happened to them. Good work, Washington lawmakers. Good work for this. This is Mike Mad Dog Magnati, and that's my opinion.
Welcome to Boswell's Home Furnishings. Come in and explore their expansive 2-story showroom at your leisure. You'll find comfort and inspiration for every room in your home. Boswell's has been filling customer furniture needs for decades, from contemporary to the classics, for living room, dining room, and bedroom sets. Purchase in-store or create your own unique style. With Boswell's complimentary design service, your vision is their passion. Where would you like to start?
I'm Tom from Alpine Air Heating and Cooling. At Alpine Air, we think of ourselves as customer service-oriented retailers. When you make an appointment, please visit our store, meet our people, see our shop. We are serious about heating and air conditioning. Carrier and Alpine Air are offering huge factory rebates and financing options for all your needs. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Alpine Air. Call for your free replacement estimate. Heat and air, call Alpine Air, 662-6846.
Hey folks, Carrie from Blueberry Hills in Manson, where we've got huge news. We've started our Blueberry U-Pick. It's a great time to toss the family in the car and get on out to Blueberry Hills, where you can get the best down-home scratch country cooking around and pick some of the world's most delicious and largest blueberries that have been high desert farmed. This makes for an intense blueberry flavor, and they are so much fun to pick. Our fields are open 8 to 2:30 daily and restaurant from 8 to 3, so come on out and join us.
And welcome back to Wake Up in Wenatchee Valley. Any chance I have, any opportunity I have to talk baseball with anybody, really, who's knowledgeable about baseball, I take full advantage of that. And of course, nobody knows more about the Wenatchee AppleSox than the broadcasting voice of the Wenatchee AppleSox, Joel Norman, who knows so much about it. He wrote a book. It's called One Inning at a Time, which is the way I live my life. Anyway, hopefully I'll make it to extra innings. Joel Norman, the voice of the AppleSox, making his very first appearance ever on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Hi, published author.
Hello, Dan. I have to say, though, I think Bruce Bennett probably knows a little more about the AppleSox than I do, but I appreciate the sentiment.
Yeah, Bruce was the longtime statistician and historian of Wenatchee AppleSox baseball. He and Rexine are two of my favorite people.
Yes.
So first thing people want to do, especially AppleSox fans, is how do I get a copy, Joel?
Absolutely. The book is on sale tonight. We have been kind of hyping it up the last few days. We got them in person on Friday, and they will be on sale, limited copies here tonight. We kind of wanted to buy a small amount first to see if we liked how the formatting was, just normal precautions there. But we're going to purchase more. There'll be plenty more on sale for the rest of the season. But if you want to come out to the park tonight, get over to the third base souvenir stand and purchase yours.
So is this your first ever book?
First ever.
Tell me about the genesis of it. And did it write itself, or how did this whole thing work?
No, it definitely didn't write itself. There was a lot of work to do this, but I enjoyed every step of the process. It's funny, I mentioned at the end of the book, but about a year ago, Jose randomly, I was eating dinner with him and his family one night, and then he just randomly looks at me and he goes, "You know, Joel, let's write a book about the AppleSox." And here, Jose, if you ever talk to him, he has lots of ideas. And that's one of the great things about him, is that he is always thinking ahead. And I'm sitting there going, okay. And again, this was a year ago. So I'm thinking, there's no way we'll be able to do that. He goes, yeah, next year's the 20th year. This will be perfect. And I said, okay. Then August rolls around, season ends, and he goes, so Joel, let's get started on that book. So it was part of one of my things to do this off season, and it was funny. But it took a little work, but like I said, I really enjoyed writing this. It was fun. I'd never really written a book before, so I didn't have a lot of idea how to do it, but I had a blast, and I learned a ton along the way.
So you talked to a lot of people, including, I'm sure, Jim Corcoran and Kenny Osborne and Jose and Bruce. In fact, Bruce and Rexina right there in the
there they are.
Down there. There they are.
Only fitting.
And of course, Bruce and everything. So did you have an outline and say, this is how I want? Did it start out as one book and became another in the gestation period? How did that happen?
You know, before I interviewed anyone, I kind of created an outline of what I wanted to do. And then I interviewed a couple people, and I threw that outline away. So what I thought I wanted to do was completely tossed aside. And I kind of turned this into more of a storybook. Because in a lot of ways, the way you remember summer college baseball may not come in the statistics, because it's only 2.5 months. Yeah. But what you remember are the stories you make being a fan there, being a player, the celebrations, the walk-off hits, that one funky giveaway or goofy on-field promotion. Those are the things you remember from summer ball. So I wanted to kind of include those things in this book and make it more of a storybook.
And as he mentioned before, it's the 20th anniversary of the Wenatchee AppleSox. So this team has a history. Absolutely. And a lot of teams in the West Coast League really don't have a history. Some of the teams are newer. Walla Walla is celebrating their 10th anniversary this year. Not really long enough to have a history. So Wenatchee is pretty much like, I think maybe Wenatchee and Bend are the two teams that have been around. I'm just spitballing
Bellingham
here.
as well.
Bellingham,
I think Kelowna's right there.
Right.
There's a couple. But, you know, a few teams have been around for 20 years, and it's neat because it's also the 15th year for the West Coast League. So in a lot of ways, it's fitting that both of these coincide at the same time. And there was so many stories I hadn't heard yet about the AppleSox this is only my second year here too, obviously, but it was really fun just sitting down with tons of different people, whether it was Jim Corcoran, Ed Nags, Ken Osborne, anyone. I was amazed at the other people I was asked to say, hey, maybe chat with them and see what they have to say. And it was a lot of fun material to find.
Is there any particular story that jumps out that people want to go to page 17 and read that, or anything like that jumps out at you? Or?
I have a lot of different chapters. Some are all about on-field stuff. Some are completely off the field. I'd really recommend, if you're a casual baseball fan, read the Coyote chapter, because that might answer a lot of questions on why the AppleSox chose Coyote to be the mascot. Not only that, but why he's just called Coyote. I really like that. I did a lot of different research for that one. I think I put my history minor to use just in that chapter alone, so I was proud of that. But if you want on-field stuff and you want to laugh a little bit, read the chapter about Ed Nags. There's a whole chapter just on him, and anyone who's ever met him knows he's a heck of a character. And boy, obviously his name is always etched into AppleSox.
Well, he managed the team for 15 years to championships and championships and championships.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's funny because Ed and Coyote are two entirely different personalities.
Exactly.
Ed loves to talk baseball, loves to tell stories, promotes the game of baseball, breathes baseball. And Coyote's a difficult interview. Very low key.
Not chatty.
Yeah, not very chatty. So it must have been difficult to.
It was tough, you know. I had to go through the hand signals with him. You know, we did the swipe of the chest, grab the ear, and whatnot. No, but that's kind of symbolic of how the book is. It's all over the place, but again, it's not meant to be in order necessarily historically. There is information about how the AppleSox were founded, and that came as talking about Jim. And boy, I sat down at Cafe Mela for I think it was almost 3 hours one day straight, just talking to Jim. And then he sent me an email after sending me more information within a half an hour. So it was fun. There was a lot of money spent on coffee doing this book as well. So shout out to Cafe Mela for that. But no, it was funny just having that time and kind of just starting saying, hey, just start me from the beginning. Stuff I don't know, and learned a ton about this team from the beginning.
And Jim, to his credit, didn't have to do anything. He doesn't own the team anymore. No. He's fully retired. He still goes to the games. Yeah. Every game I go to this year, Jim's there. Yeah. I think he's missed one game that I've been there, and that's it. So
and that's the humblest guy.
So he's just a fan.
Absolutely, and I'm sure he's enjoying that. He doesn't have to yell at as many kids and not run at all or anything. He told me at one point, he said, out of impulse, I might still do that this year, but I haven't heard it, at least from the press box. So, no, it's been fun. I haven't gotten to see Jim as much, unfortunately, this year, but it was a pleasure talking to him, forming this book, and he is still very much a big part of the image of AppleSox baseball.
And it's funny you bring that up, don't run, kids. Jim was really good at that, but the guest services folks who work for Jose and Ken, they're really good because we go to the games and hit a foul ball over there by the tennis courts or the basketball courts. Yeah. The kids take off. The guest services people don't run, and they stop it.
Exactly. So. And those guest services kids, they come and go too. Some have been here multiple summers. However, they're in a lot of ways more so than any of the players or anyone other side. Jim or Ken, Jose, Allie. Besides that, those are the immediate faces of the AppleSox. A lot of kids remember them more than they're going to remember our management. So we're always really thankful for the guest services members we've had over the years too, and tried to give them a shout out in there as best as possible.
Well, I had a great time. I of course PA'd AppleSox for a couple of years back in 2004 and again in 2014, and then I was a last second pinch hitter about a month ago. I enjoyed doing that.
Or celebrity fill-in.
Yeah, celebrity fill-in. So signed a lot of autographs. Speaking of that, you signed the book.
Yes.
Go Sox, Joel Norman, it says right here.
Yeah, I've signed all the copies that we're selling tonight. So, yeah, if you come out to the park, you have a signed copy.
Okay, well, let me go ahead and best of luck through the years, Babe Ruth. See, now
there you go. Now that's a winner right there.
Money. Hey, we're playing good baseball.
Yes.
I'm liking this. We stubbed our toe a little bit against Walla Walla. Down in Walla Walla late last week, and then into the weekend with the Portland Pickles in town.
That's right.
We're playing good. We're feeling good. Team seems to be trending in the right direction here.
You know what I realized late last night? The AppleSox are going for their fourth sweep of the season here tonight. Last year, they didn't get their final sweep until the penultimate series of the season. So it's pretty crazy that this team is already off and running like this. And right there, the season ends today. The Sox are in the playoffs, and we haven't said that since 2013. And boy, wouldn't that be fitting? I've been saying that all year. Wouldn't it be fitting to end that drought by getting in on the 20th season?
And it takes a little while for Coach Crustangel to build up his philosophy and his team. He has done so.
Yep.
We had a couple of struggling this time. At this time last year, we had no chance at all to make the playoffs. Now we're right there, and there's just a few more games left. We have Portland again tonight. You got a day off. you have a non-league game. Then we just have 2 more series
at home, and then 1 more on the road. So
and then that's
games.
it.
Yeah.
So it's time to do it.
Absolutely, and it's time to show up too. We need Sox Nation there. AppleSox head coach Kyle Crustangel always says, "We can hear you," and it makes a difference. You know, there was over 1,200 fans there at the park last night. Let's do something similar tonight. Why not? You know, a chance for the sweep. Bring your broom to the park. I mean, you don't see a team get 4 sweeps in this kind of a season too often.
And there are some teams in the league, and I'm going to be straightforward here, that by this time of the year, late July, early August, some of the teams that really have no chance at all of making the playoffs, and they know it. And you can see just in the body language of the teams and the players that they're just coasting home. They want the season over with. They want to go to goof off for a couple of weeks before they go back to school. This team is not doing that.
No. You know, summer ball is what you make of it. And I give a ton of credit to our players and our coaching staff for maintaining that mindset, because they have realized this is a great opportunity. And as Coach Crustangel always says, shoot, why not go out and try and win it all? You know, you might not have, some of these guys might not ever have a chance to compete for a championship again. So these are great memories. And like we said, whenever we talk to Marco Gonzalez, he still remembers his 2010 title. Everyone remembers when you win a championship, no matter what level of ball it is, whether it's summer ball or in season. So the team is figuring, why not? Let's give it a chance. Let's just get in and then see what happens. Because we saw it last year in the postseason. Kelowna faced Bellingham. Kelowna barely got in thanks to a tiebreaker and much confusion, by the way. But they got in nonetheless, and heck, they got to the championship round. So the AppleSox are thinking, what the heck? Let's give it a chance. If we get there, we'll see what happens when we're in that position.
There's an old saying, if you're going to play this much baseball, you might as well see if you can win the championship.
Why not?
As simple as that. You mentioned Marco. We mentioned Coyote. Here's the bobbleheads. That was a tremendously successful promotion, wasn't it?
That was a lot of fun. We really enjoyed the bobblehead nights. And hey, you know, if you have any ideas about next year, we're taking those.
Are the bobbleheads like Gone Johnson? Is there any floating around?
There are some left. I believe we're selling them on sale at the souvenir stand. If you actually want any, I think it's only just $5 or so, or maybe a couple more. But I'd have to double check. But regardless, there are a few left. But you know, hey, next year we're thinking about. It's never too early to think about the next season. So
that's true.
We are open to ideas. We're probably thinking another Coyote one, but it'd be cool to do another former player too. So.
Well, I'm trying to think who'd be the obvious one. Well, first of all, there's a player this year. If he keeps this up, he's going to get a couple bobbleheads. I'm talking about Johnny Sage. That guy's a ball player.
Yes, he is.
I like the way he approaches baseball.
Yeah.
You know, he's a fun-loving guy, but the first pitch between the diamonds, we're here to win.
Whenever he gets a walk in a ball game, I hear from his grandmother, who always watches our Facebook Live feed. She always says, we call him Johnny Walker. And then, well, Coach Crustangel calls him Johnny AppleSox. But he's been fantastic. Second summer with the Sox. And it's funny, Dan is entering this week. He had 27 walks on the season entering this weekend, and 22 of them have come in the month of July.
Okay.
He, in the month of June, was really trying to work on his power. He homered opening night after not homering at all last summer. And he told me, he said, I'm trying to get more extra base hits. It didn't quite work out because in June, he only had a .240 batting average. But here in July, he's become more of that AppleSox hitter we're used to seeing, whereas last summer, he was taking his bases on balls. He was, working the count, wasn't attacking early, and it's shown. He had a tough year at Purdue this past spring, and he was telling me about that recently. He said, it was really humbling. I haven't had a bad year like that. He'd won the NWAC Player of the Year in 2018 with the Yakima Valley, but now he looks like he's on track, and it's great to see because he's going into his senior year. This is it for college ball. It's kind of make or break. See if you can make it to the majors after this. So we've been really proud of the season he's put together here with the AppleSox.
Any other players? And I know Kyle doesn't like to, and you don't either. You don't like to single out individual players for special mention or special attention. But anybody else, while I have you here, that has impressed you in the last few weeks since I saw you last?
Yeah, well, why not his teammate Cole McKenzie in a lot of ways? Obviously he has been out for a while, hitting .370 though. He's going to try to give it a go next weekend. We've been told, nothing official yet, but that sprained left wrist has still been bugging him. But even though he's been hurt, it's been great. He's still wanted to be around. Until he has to go, he wants to stay here, and I think the guys have really enjoyed having him around. A great person, great teammate for everyone else. It's been really nice having him around still, and we'd love to see him get at least one more game. And just because he hasn't played since he was named an All-Star, went down to Bend. He was going to try and work out in that scouting event during the day of the All-Star game. It wouldn't work. He wasn't able to catch the ball. His wrist still bugging him. So we'd love to see him out there again. But there's been a lot of fantastic guys. I think every night it feels like it's been someone new. And, last night, a guy like Dalton Harum, we were talking about him a moment ago, he steps up. And it's a guy who, right before the game, he's on a little bit of a slide. He only had one hit over his last 3 games or so. a lot of strikeouts in the process. And he said to me, he said, Joel, I'm going to get a couple hits tonight. And I said, you know what? I believe you. You've been swinging it. You just haven't got rewarded yet. And heck, he got rewarded.
Outside of Cole, how we doing health-wise?
Pretty good. I think
Okay.
everyone else is fine who's currently with the AppleSox.
Yeah.
Ryan Altenberger just got over something, went deep last night, so he's all right.
Yeah.
So I think other than that, the health is great. You know, there's a lot of arms available, and we haven't used a lot of key relievers the last 2 days, which is fantastic. So if the Sox are on a close game tonight, going for the sweep, Landon Shire, according to Coach Cross Angel, could get 2 or 3 innings of relief, and hey, he's already got 6 saves this summer.
It's kind of a strange schedule because they had Portland on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, which usually
That's
isn't
right.
the way things work out, but that's just the way it is. And then an off day on Tuesday, non-league game on the last day of July, Wednesday, and then another off day. And this is a good time to have an off day.
Absolutely.
So off day, non-league game doesn't count, and then another off day. And then the stretch run. So
Yeah.
the scheduling gods were good to us then.
They were. And I think the nice thing about this 3-day stretch coming up after today, it's a lot of time to relax. Because Wednesday's game, yes, you'd like to win. But however, you're not going to be playing as many regulars. So they can get some time off. So you don't have to rest them in a game that means something. So these non-league games are great for a lot of reasons. We love having another night at the ballpark. You know, we have the lease. So why not have another
Sure.
game? And we love doing that. And we love giving other guys opportunities who maybe haven't gotten a chance. You may see a few pitchers who you haven't seen as much. However, we want to get them some innings. So it'll be a great opportunity for them to toe in the rubber. And then some of the guys who haven't got as many starts as they would like, they might get some action in the field. Or you might see a guy who plays a lot at one position playing somewhere new. So we're always trying to learn on the fly here in summer college baseball.
I was out of touch, as you know, last week in an area where cell service was spotty. I don't really, and I follow baseball every day, but I know how my Yankees did. They beat the Red Sox last night. Thank
right.
goodness, to avoid being swept. How are your Pirates doing? I don't know. Where are we in the National League Central?
A bit of a slide.
Oh,
I
that's
kind of
bad.
hope that as a result they might sell at the deadline, but
Yeah.
they've been kind of middling for a couple of years. I kind of want them to just pick a side, whether you're going to sell or you're going to go all in. But
Nothing's going on, and the deadline is midnight on Wednesday.
there were a few trades yesterday, though. Stroman
Yeah.
to the Mets.
Yeah.
That was interesting because they're 4th in that division.
Yeah,
So,
I couldn't figure that. I don't know if Toronto was giving up or the Mets were trying to make a run or neither team knows what they're doing. That's about the
It was
only thing I
weird.
can think of. So-
That was weird. I mean, it makes sense for Toronto, but the Mets, I mean, unless it's a long-term move, I guess then maybe for next year. But this year, I didn't like that.
Speaking of that, I know it's never too early to build the roster for the 2020 campaign. Any of the guys that you know of on the AppleSox say, boy, if I have a chance to come back in 2020 and play, and I still have my eligibility, I want to come back and play here. You know.
Yeah, you know, I asked Coach Cross Angel about that a couple of weeks ago, and probably won't have a definitive idea, but he tossed out a lot of names, which was really exciting. You know, when he gave me about 10 different names, and I'll leave that until they've officially at least said they're going to be back. But it was kind of neat seeing that and knowing that guys, one, like playing for him, and two, have enjoyed their summer in Wenatchee. We've had, over the years, over the 20 years of the team, there's every guys who come in and they're pumped to play at this level, and there's guys who come in and they kind of go, all right, whatever. We've had a really positive group this summer, and it's not normal to be saying that about the majority of a team.
Yeah.
I look at most of the guys, I talk to most of the guys, they look like they enjoy their time, and I sincerely mean that. And that is just, for me, that's what I want. I want the guys to come in, I want them to improve, but I want them to enjoy playing in Wenatchee. I want them to make the most of their summer, even if it isn't what they had planned or wanted to happen at all.
Mm-hmm. What's it like to, we're almost out of time, Joe. What's it like to open up page 4 of the book, it says copyright 2019, Joel Norman. What's that like?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
When I first saw the books in person, I kind of had a moment where I was like, wow. I don't know if I'm ever going to write another book. I'm really excited about this. I just hope people enjoy it because, as I've said, obviously the primary audience here is Wenatchee people, but I think whether you're from Wenatchee or not, you'll enjoy this because a lot of people in this country maybe don't know the details of summer college baseball if they're not in a small town. So I hope that maybe if you're an AppleSox fan or not, you'll read this and you'll learn a little bit about summer ball and see why it's beloved and growing across the country.
Full of information, lots of very important, all the team records that you need there, the standings
right.
from every year. It's a great book. Joel, have fun tonight.
Thank you.
You can get the book tonight at tonight's AppleSox game against the Portland Pickles. Everybody have
6:35.
yourself a great Monday, provided the show isn't canceled. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.